quarterly edition of Weekly Digest, a government information agency program that keeps you informed on what the administration has been doing that will create a better environment for citizens. I'm your host, Shanta Goberdan. Thank you for joining us. In this week's presentation for the period December 13 to 19, 2014, US $42 million electricity modernization project completed, Guyana Geology and Mines Commission to better police mining sector as new branch opens, great plans on stream for infrastructure landscape, and Guyanese share their plans for the Christmas season. The Guyana Power and Light GPL commissioned another substation, marking the end of a US $42 million project to modernize the power supply and distribution system.
This substation is the final component of the power company's new system, which is catered for under the US $42 million Infrastructure Development Program, IDP, and links Demerara and Berbice.
This is a great day, a memorable day, a historic day in the life of our electricity utility, the GPL, and our country at large. For with this ceremony marking the end of our transmission upgrade program, we mark the movement of our electricity network in a giant leap, as our CEO has said, from maybe the 1970s to the current time, to the higher level of today. From an elementary, rudimentary level with no substations in the networks and feeders running up to 40 miles. And today we have a strong interconnection between what were decades ago separate Demerara and Berbice systems. We have 7 new substations in the network and 3 substations have been upgraded.
GPL's board chairman, Winston Brassington, said that the program, which ran for 5 years, is significant for not only its integration of the grid to boost supplies in Berbice, but also as a prerequisite for the Amalia Falls project. The chairman was not hesitant to point to several challenges that are hovering around the company.
As chairman, I need to acknowledge that we continue to have challenges. While we are bigger and we are spending considerable sums, we still need to do better in terms of keeping the lights on and improving our efficiencies. We will continue to strive to ensure that blackouts are kept to a minimum. This is an area that requires not just investment, but proper and continuous management and maintenance. Simple matters like ensuring that poles are planted and maintained and transmission routes are cleared of vegetation and trees are essential matters that is all part of ensuring blackouts are kept to a minimum. We need to continue to challenge our company, all of us, to do better on these matters.
The opening of the GPL's facility is the key part of the transmission master plan implemented since the 1970s within Demerara and Berbice to serve all load centers.
The information sector has experienced a year of mixed fortunes, which saw success in some areas and a failure of success in others.
Broadcasting in 2014 was seen as a success story as an open field resulting from the legislative interventions to end state radio monopoly took effect. Cabinet Secretary Dr. Roger Luncheon, whilst giving an overview of the information sector for 2014, said that this was notwithstanding the fact that the use of technology has positively impacted the nation's economy. He listed the One Laptop per Family and e-governance projects, which were aimed to leapfrog Guyana into modernity and to help propel the economy onto another growth curve. On the broadcasting, issues dealt with including licensings, fees, scheduling of fees, and content management, along with the groundwork addressing these issues. All of these were consolidated in 2014 after being laid out in 2012 and 2013.
We have decided to provide the state entities that are operating in the broadcasting sector, that's the GNBA, as well as the National Frequent Management Unit, with new headquarters. Right there in Hatfield Street. The intention is to put up a most modern, I think it's 3 stories, I might be wrong, it might be more, but the most modern building to house both National Broadcast Authority and the governing board, as well as the successor of the National Frequent Management Unit. I'm a little bit despondent because and we will speak about this in telecommunications, with the stay, the non-movement of the telecommunication bills in Parliament, it means that there isn't going to be an immediate succession of the National Frequent Management Unit to the Telecommunication Agency. It's a disappointment.
Speaking about the criticisms from some quarters about the fees charged by government for spectrum uses, Dr. Luncheon said that government was castigated for charging relatively low prices when compared to overseas authorities and giving away the bandwidth. Meanwhile, he said that Guyana is woefully behind times in that there is an abject rejection of the way in which content is dealt with. He said that the access to information legislation is not manna from heaven, and there is a reason for it, as there is a lot of speculation going on. Looking forward to 2015, Dr. Luncheon expressed the hope that the period will be instructive in terms of what is eventually done in terms of media content and media content control.
To enhance the supervision and management of the mining sector, the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission has opened a branch in Lethem, Region 9. The fully equipped facility that costs close to $70 million is one of 7 that will be commissioned in several mining districts over the next 2 months, with the aim of ensuring that Guyanese benefit from their country's natural resources in a more sustainable manner.
So what we see here is testimony to a commitment to have firmer, a much more focused regulation, monitoring, and enforcement system for the mining sector. And particularly for regions such as this, where we have sensitive biodiversity, a region also where we have a protected area, 2 protected areas, and even there's an interest to expand the protected area system, an area where we also have rich potential in terms of minerals, and also an area where, as I've said, we have potential too in hydrocarbons. And the Region 9 area can be, in a way, what we can say a microcosm of how it is that we can balance the development of our natural resources and taking into account our obligations in terms of the environment. And to do so, the arms and the agencies of the state must be so equipped and so present in working particularly with local communities in ensuring that we monitor and we enforce in a way that brings about the desired results.
For a number of years, the mining sector has been believed to be under-regulated. The ministry has sought to rectify this issue, and to date, there are 50 new stations spread across the regions. These include mobile stations, with an objective of facilitating staff to carry out their duties in a more comfortable atmosphere, to have more focus on regulations and monitoring and enforcement, particularly for Region 9, which has 2 protected areas and a rich mineral potential.
We at the Commission have taken our corporate social responsibility very seriously. Within recent times, we have had a number of interactions resulting in a number of interventions to ensure that the sector, the gold and wool mining sector, continues to evolve and grow. In that regard, we have been doing a whole host of different things. You might have heard us saying these things within the last couple of months or so. We have moved to make much more lands available for gold mining. And we've had lotteries and auctions, and we're hoping to have some more, particularly in those areas that have not benefited in the way we thought they should have very soon. We have also been working very closely on the road infrastructure to make sure that once we give the lands out, that there is sufficient roads, adequate roads.
Many of the residents in the region, especially in Ishalton, have indicated their interest in expanding mining activities, but to do so in a way that doesn't cause harm to the environment. In this regard, the ministry will be establishing branches of the Environmental Protection Agency and the Protected Areas Commission in the area to develop a similar synergy and coordination with the people. Having achieved its 2014 targets, the Ministry of Housing and Water is looking ahead in 2015 and has planned a number of transformational projects that will improve access, create new opportunities, and continue the expansion of the country's infrastructure landscape. Providing a preview of these plans, Minister of Housing Irfan Ali said that the ministry anticipates that it will commence construction on the East Coast East Bank bypass linkage. This investment of almost US $65 million over a 3-year period will see the construction of approximately 20 kilometers of roadway designed as a modern highway.
This new road will provide access for more than 400 acres of unutilized land. So it would open up opportunity for us to have access to more than 480 acres of land that is considered backlands. This indeed would help us to create new communities, targeting almost 1,500 households. This would add to the development that has occurred along the East Bank corridor in the backland.
The ministry is also expected to, by the end of April 2015, deliver on the Eccles to Diamond access linkage. The approximate cost of this road link is $400 million.
This road is intended to link Diamond Housing Scheme with Eccles Housing Scheme and provide an alternative route for Diamond residents. The project includes the construction of approximately 1 kilometers of new roadway and the upgrading and widening of approximately 6 kilometers of roadways, and the construction of 3 reinforced concrete bridges. This we hope to complete by the end of April, so our brothers and sisters in Diamond who go through the nightmare along the existing highway would have an immediate alternative access up onto Eccles.
Also set to be completed in 2015 are a number of heavy-duty bridges at Bell West, Region 3, an investment of $100 million. For 2014, the ministry focused on infrastructure upgrade, advancing the turnkey homes, and opening up new opportunities and improving occupancy. The Housing Ministry was also able to expand its yearly budgetary allocation and achieve full expenditure by the end of November. Stay tuned. More of the Weekly Digest after the break.
In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers, or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidthebribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously. Guyana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered.
As the Ministry of Health continues to expand its workforce, 90 individuals on December 17 graduated in 5 categories of medical technical areas. The graduation ceremony, which was held at the Marion Academy, saw 23 environmental health assistants, 22 dental assistants, 18 pharmaceutical assistants, and 20 laboratory technicians, along with 7 X-ray technicians graduating. Speaking at the ceremony, Health Minister Dr. Barry Ramsaran congratulated the graduates on their accomplishments and encouraged them to further their studies.
Today we are graduating 5 groups, am I right? 5 groups of what I refer to as the technician level of the workforce in the healthcare sector in Guyana. We are graduating environmental health assistants, some 23. And I'm told that these graduates come from practically every region. I want to congratulate them with some modest academic qualifications and attainments, opens greater pathways Dr. Ali will concur with me that you can join at some lower level in the dental school, that is the Chetty Jagan Dental School, and work your way up. You could, for example, join as a dentist, or you can a dental assistant, I'm told. Contradict me if I'm wrong, Dr. Ali. And with hard work and continued academic achievement, by doing a little bit more CXCs, you can then evolve and then join a University of Guyana program as a special entrant from the School of Dentistry, the Chetty Jagan School of Dentistry. In other words, young people, we are giving you an opportunity at a second chance, a second level of education.
These individuals will complement the regional health services and add to the healthcare capacity in the various regions. Along with certification, awards were also given out to the best graduating and most improved student in each category. As is customary, the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security reaches out to the vulnerable during the Christmas season, and this year is no different as Minister Jennifer Webster presented goodies to senior citizens.
Human Services Minister Jennifer Webster presented a quantity of items to the Uncle Eddie's home in Tuckville, including a large hamper. She also interacted with the residents and wished them well for the season. Meanwhile, First Lady's Foundation spread Christmas cheer to hundreds of children at different locations. The foundation was in several Blackbush Boulder villages, in Wismar and Mackenzie, in Linden and Bartica, among other areas. At the latter location, 600 children were feted.
Christmas is one of my best holidays, right? I like Christmas. And it's a period where you share with children. And I always feel fulfilled when I do this, you know. So if you look at the children's face, yeah, they're very happy. And although they would have gotten maybe from the parents or so on, they feel really privileged to receive gifts from us, from our foundation.
On December 21, State House will be abuzz with little ones as 600 children are to be feted by the First Lady Foundation.
There has been an improved interest in choral singing from different groups across the country. The outstanding participants of the 2014 National Choral Festival were rewarded for their performances.
The Choral Festival was held under the theme Voices in Harmony. In the small group category, the Circle of Love acquired first place, while the Messengers second and J4 Inspiration third. In the large group category, St. Joseph's High School copped first, New Amsterdam Multilateral second, and Marian Academy third. The winners were awarded trophies and monetary prizes. Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Dr. Frank Anthony commended the winning groups for their hard work and accomplishments, while urging them to further enhance their talents in the field of music.
In music, there are so many diverse things that can happen. And we, apart from singing, there's so much more that we can do. And we really want to encourage young people to take up music as a career, because there's a lot of avenues that can be opened up to you.
The first Indigenous Song Festival was also held on December 13, and the ministry will be hosting this as an annual activity to preserve the Indigenous language. The ministry has been supporting music initiatives in schools through part-time teachers, working with students of various schools to teach steel pan music.
Christmas is the most festive of seasons in Guyana. It's a time when Guyanese make that extra effort to bring out traditional meals and beverages and to ensure their families have a good time. The Christmas shopping is also an integral part of a Guyanese Christmas.
Christmas in Guyana is not complete without shopping on the busy streets of Georgetown. The Christmas songs, the promotional marketing, and the enthusiasm on the faces of shoppers are some of the scenes in the city. Gina's camera took to the streets to find out how they plan to spend their Christmas holiday.
There's a lot of shopping, the decors over the years have been changing. More modern decors are coming in, and the person spent a lot of emphasis on decorating the homes, decorating the Christmas tree.
Well, you're seeing people doing more shopping, because the last days you're finding much people they're doing much shopping, and and you get a lot of excitement.
I feel that I'm working hard and I want to enjoy myself, enjoy my money. So I decide to spend because Christmas is a day that everybody just prepare themselves for.
Guyanese always bring out the traditions of Christmas, including special meals, beverages, and spending quality time with the family. The Christmas delicacies include the traditional Christmas morning pepper pot and bread, roast beef, garlic pork, stuffing, black cake, and ginger beer. Indeed, Christmas in Guyana would not be well spent without the taste of one or more of these dishes.
On Christmas Day, the usual thing is the pepper pot and all the fancy foods. You know, there's no Christmas without ginger beer. So that's what we normally do, eat and drink and play music, socialize. You know, we play household games for the whole family could enjoy and so on.
Well, you invite my family and them and buy some drinks and whatsoever. And you enjoy them with it. Okay. And steer my grandpa game. Enjoy with my grandpa game and so.
Christmas is celebrated in the remembrance of the birth of Jesus Christ. It is a very popular holiday celebrated by Guyanese nationally.
During Cabinet Statutory meeting at the Office of the President on December 16, 2014, several issues of national concern were discussed. The media was subsequently briefed on Cabinet's deliberations.
Head of the Presidential Secretariat emphasized that two matters remain of concern to the administration and of necessity to Guyanese in general. The first is a case being handled by the Attorney General, brought by Leader of the Opposition David Granger, and is against the spending by the Finance Minister under constitutional coverage.
To our feelings, our understanding, having, and I suppose being aware of the Chief Justice's ruling, such a resort begs the question, why?
The second matter the HBS pointed out is the appeal for a stay in execution of the Chief Justice's ruling in the matter of a petition by an attorney in support of a client under the Sexual Offences Act. A stay of execution was granted and has allowed for paper committals to be concluded, and those that had been concluded but were in abeyance move forward. Due to the cessation of industrial action, all of the municipal markets were reopened. The Council has retreated and agreed that its demand should not be linked and should be dealt with separately, and to grant the 5% increase to the local government officers.
This resort to industrial action, whether public or private sector, in the last part of 2014 has, and I would knock on wood, been a bit of a rarity. Strikes and such like have not indeed been easily resorted to by the different factions involved in grievances at the level of bargaining units.
Government reiterates its disassociation from a group calling itself the Georgetown National Civil Society Council. The HBS maintained that OP is unaware of the existence of the group. Meanwhile, Cabinet approved 7 contracts in various sectors, totaling $571.7 million.
And now for perspectives with Dr. Prem Namir.
The Stabroek News and the Kaichur News consistently present letter writers and columnists who seemingly have a mandate from these newspapers to bash the PPPC government. It is not a case where the letter writers and columnists investigate a matter and then disseminate their findings through the media. The letter writers and columnists' content contains largely negatives against the government, with very little objectivity, I should say. Their content indicates that this government has accomplished nothing for the people of Guyana. Indeed, the government has a long list of accomplishments of which it can boast. However, given that in the main these letter writers and columnists are bashing the government on almost a daily basis and favoring the opposition, then they are political activists for the combined opposition, APNU and AFC, as they rarely say anything critical against the combined opposition. And Stabroek News and Kaichor News use these letter writers and columnists to peddle many untruths against the government. But some would argue that the Guyana Chronicle does the same thing, in that it consistently criticizes the combined opposition. Well, the Guyana Chronicle is the state's newspaper, and so it will have to bear that burden of wholly supporting the government, even if you could call it a burden. It's part of their responsibility. But you see, the Stabroek News and Kaichor News boast about being independent newspapers. The Stabroek News and Kaichor News are not independent. They are private newspapers, totally working in the interest of the combined opposition. In this sense, these newspapers are part of the new opposition. New opposition. On another front, the Stabroek News and Kaichor News, through their letter writers and columnists, are now revisiting the untested notion that the government is a dictatorship. Again, this idea that this government is dictatorial does not stand up to rigorous test. It is clear that these agents of the Stabroek News and Kaichor News falsely present Guyana as a totalitarian dictatorship, where, if that is the case, then by definition, the government would use maximum intervention to control the economic and social lives of the Guyanese people, and that would include the media as well. Ask ordinary Guyanese if the government controls their lives, and the answer will be a resounding no. And also, the government does not control what the media puts out or what the media put out. In addition, if the government is a totalitarian dictatorship, implying that it controls people, why then is this dictatorship not totally stopping the newspapers from constantly engaging in criticisms against the government? The Stabroek News and Kaichor News have freedom to present their news and express their opinions. At least when I last checked, their freedom exists, as their negatives against the government still keep pouring in day after day. The PPPC government has rekindled the reality of freedom of the press in Guyana, which is now subject to abuse. I thank you very much.
And with those features, we've come to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. But before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. US $42 million electricity modernization project completed. Guyana Geology and Mines Commission to better police mining sector as new branch opens. Great plans and stream for infrastructure landscape. And Guyanese share their plans for the Christmas season. Please note that Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at ginagovgy@gmail.com. Join us again next week as we highlight more of the government's programs and policies that are aimed at enhancing the lives of citizens. On behalf of the staff of the Government Information Agency, I extend season's greetings to all our viewers and listeners. Do enjoy all that the festive season brings your way. I'm Shanta Gobodan. Do have a safe week ahead.